Okay, so yeah, I'm uploading another live and I'm at home. You know, what's on the screen is my teal blanket. I have my room is teal and chocolate. Just kind of like and little pieces of cream. Just to kind of promote sleepiness and relaxation. So I wanted to do this upload to just kind of explain, you know, the point for these lives. I mean, not lives, videos. I'm uploading like stories of my past and all of that, not because I'm looking for symptoms, so I'm sympathy. So I'm kind of glad that I haven't reached a point where I can do lives and all of that because um, that's not the point. The point is because basically just in case or like it basically in case it helps somebody and to say what the result is from some of the choices that we make. So I was just thinking because after this morning talking about like the things that I've been through with other women, well, I mean, men truly aren't innocent. And so they've done a lot of things to me and it does still get me down sometimes. There's a lot of flack about dating single moms. But whenever I'm hanging out with my friends or people who are have been supportive, their first order of business is to try to get me to date. They look at it as I'm being defeated, that I'm giving up, that I'm letting, men in my past win. The thing is, I logically know it's baggage. And I don't know how right it is to try to bring somebody into that. And I don't even know if it's something that will ever be healed. That's the point. We have morals. A moral code is a set of values that we all have agreed to react towards in a certain way. Somehow, somewhere, somebody decided that this is the right answer and this one is not. And so what happens is generation after generation, we see people respond in that manner. We listen to the reasons why. We talk about it incessantly and to the point where you literally do have an actual reaction emotionally to things. The thoughts become automatic. So if we see somebody and they are walking around holding a baby by the neck, right? And I use that example to prove a point. I don't know anyone who would be able to look at that and just keep walking, or either to be able to say, oh, yeah, that's the right thing to do. It's something we all agreed is wrong because it's harmful. It does impact us because now the child could possibly get harmed or injured, and the child is helpless. So it's hard pressed to find somebody that would say that it's, let alone okay, but even still, that it would be the right answer. So morally, we now react to it, and that's what makes it a fact. We can agree if all of us have agreed, and now it's human nature now because it's a conditioned response. There are unconditioned responses like when your stomach hurts in a certain way, you know to start eating something. That's unconditioned. If people put food in front of you, it's a conditioned response depending on what it is, if it smells nice. So, if we were to see somebody holding a baby in that manner, it is a conditioned response because we now know what the consequences would be. So, what does that have to do with me and my emotions, right? Well, in terms of dating, it's the reason why I haven't been just overly opposed to it, but I've only been about 10% interested in dating, and it showed. The reason is because of what the first person did. Yes, it is true. It is something that will never be able to be fixed, something that will never go away. And living the rest of your life, it does kind of stain everything else after that because if somebody wanted to take my smile away, they absolutely have a way to do it. I don't know how long it takes to get over certain things like that. And so there are additional negative events that add to it. And the positive ones take away a small portion of it. But the negative ones are bigger because they can come at any time. The positive, somebody has to want to provide positive. You have to somehow earn a positive. And that's just the way we interact. And I don't want it to sound like whining. I'm not whining, I'm just stating. Sometimes, if you're dating someone, that is the thing that is wrong. Some of us don't know how to articulate it, some of us haven't figured that out yet. And there's nothing wrong with it because, we get up every day, we still live life. Not a lot of people have time to just sit around and think about these things until they get to the answer, because then you have to test out that theory if that's the right answer or not, and then it has to ring true. So it's a lengthy process. I brought this up because, I was supposed to go and hang out this weekend, and I just didn't have it emotionally. I did decline, the date, and I'm hoping that when men get like a no from time to time, that they don't take it personally, because sometimes it's really not about you. Is it selfish? Possibly, but it's also considerate. So I can explain, and then there is that piece of the person that kind of feels like, well, what if that's just a lie? And I'm not discounting the fact that you guys might have gotten a no from a woman and then later on saw her out with someone else, because that's a part of your experience. But I can definitely assure you that that is a smaller portion of your life than what caused me to not go out on a date this weekend. And when I said yes initially, I wasn't, like just lying or leading the person on. I had it. I felt it when I said it. But as time went on, I wasn't able to keep that energy. The things we do to one another, they absolutely do have an impact. And sometimes an apology is not enough. Sometimes you can't make amends. Sometimes it will never be okay. We talk a lot about relationships, and we talk a lot about single moms. We talk a lot about step families and marriages. And I completely understand why. Hopefully this can help someone who's not lying and they actually are trying to figure out the feeling that they have. And so I have to live with the idea that I had a whole identity before I met that person. They showed up in my life and tried to tell me who I actually am and what I'm doing and what my motivations are. I'm not sorry that I didn't want to be trapped into that. And I find it very arrogant and selfish of a person to try to make me live throughout that life. The thing that bothers me the most, because I would be able to get over one thing from one person, because, that is one person on this entire planet, right? But arguments in couples never stay between the couple. That is a big, huge thing for me in relationships. Other people that see you interact with these people, they can notice an emotion or a distance, because people aren't stupid. And then they ask questions. And then they form opinions and take sides. The reason for that is because it's interesting right then at that moment. It's one small piece of their lifetime. And they don't take into consideration the impact that they're making in somebody else's entire life. So when one of the persons out of the couple goes out and like purposely involves other people. So because the scenario just then that I was describing was if people just show up and decide that they want to have an opinion or ask questions or be involved in something that didn't involve them initially. It's worse when one of the members of the couple go out and actively find people to talk to instead of the person in a relationship, and that usually happens when they're not getting the answer that they want. See, that to me is the determining factor on whether or not the relationship can last. Certain things in life, yes, you should ask for help and shouldn't be so arrogant to think you could do it on your own. But in a relationship, you're not doing it on your own already. If you are so opposed to something from your partner, you need to end that relationship, not go get other people to convince them to do something. But see, I think another thing that comes up when we talk about the word submission is, who am I submitting to? Am I submitting to just that one individual man, or am I submitting to him and everybody that feels like he should always get what he wants? There are a lot of men who've been told that things that they're doing is okay. Things that they're doing is natural and even right. You guys aren't doing men any favors by never telling them no. And I think that that's the problem that we have with specific women that literally earn the title of pick me. Certain things go against the grain, the culture, the person, the relationship, anybody that the relationship touches. And yet they're still told that, yes, it's okay for you to do it. So a person shows up after I've survived all of those years according to a certain behavior code, changes everything, attempts to convince me, has not yet, because I feel like if you really believe in what it is, you would be able to convince someone to do something different or to change. But basically, I got outvoted. And the only person who has to live with that is me. They get to decide somebody else's life. And people have the tendency to be a lot more willing to gamble with someone else's life instead of their own. People can tell you that you need to hurry up and get over it. So am I supposed to just accept that it's part of life in relationships? Everyone has to end up with someone who literally hates them, everything that is their being. Well, that would sound very miserable. And it turns you back into an infant. Because now you have to learn to live your life in a different way, instead of finding somebody that understands and needs what you have at that moment. So you were preparing your life for somebody that could have, appreciated and used, and that was probably looking for what it is that you have to offer. But this person wants it gone, and they're going to like foster in you what they want. So what is it specifically that you're getting out of that person if you have to revamp everything? Why should a person be prepared for anything? Why should you do anything before? So when you guys ask these questions about why kids don't want to go to school and why they are so overly concerned about dating, it's because they see adults who had to throw their entire life away. And what sense, like, I want you guys to answer when you talk to teenagers about relationships. What is something in your life that you knew was going to be tossed aside and you still wanted to devote time and energy into doing it, that you took seriously and poured yourself into in order to gain a mastery, knowing that you would never be able to use it? Like, that's what kids tell you. They tell you, well, I will never use this subject in life. Why do I have to? Right? Well, at some point, somebody decided that that was a good thing we needed to learn. So there are days where the person I'm around hasn't really done anything to me, but I just don't have it. And I try to not take that out on them. But if you're ready to get up today and party and hang out and have fun and smile, and I don't have it, I can try to force myself to have it, but it's going to feel forced. So you have two options. You can accept the fact that it's being forced and take that as me caring and understand the spirit in which it's done, or you can forego it. Now, the secret third option is, you could do whatever else, something else on your own or with somebody else or what have you. But see, that is the point of contention in relationships. The way you guys describe what you want in a woman sounds robotic. You can't have both. We as women don't know how to be robots that you're able to program. It's going to take time. And who says that you're automatically right or that it's even a good thing to want? Do you want a woman that's cold? Because that's exactly what that would be. The relationship that I'm thinking about, every emotion I had was wrong. Every day, I had to be told how I got the answer wrong. And if I was smart, if I was a good person, I'd know what the answer is. It felt like quitting on religion. It felt like quitting on doing any good in the world. It felt like quitting on learning. It felt like quitting on life. Every day, I had to be told how I wasn't raised well by this person. But everyone else around me says that I'm supposed to be appreciative of my parents. And of course, you get called gullible, you get called retarded, you get called lame. And this is said with such passion and energy behind it. And to hear someone say that and then attack you in everything in your life, destroying property, keeping you from other people because they needed to to concrete themselves into your life, even though they hate everything about you. constantly 24/7 judged and critiqued every slight emotion and movement. Has anybody ever raised a daughter and told them that once a guy shows up in your life, from the second you meet him, he is now your everything? Have you guys raised a daughter to believe that? Do you support the daughter when she stops everything in her life for this guy's whim? Well, I know, right? Oh, well, he just wasn't a good person. That was just wrong. But do you really think that these guys are going to tell you the real thing that they're asking for? It doesn't matter. Whatever it is that they're asking for at that moment, if it's a positive and good thing that we all like in society, yay. But that doesn't automatically mean that the next thing that this guy asks for is going to always be on the up and up. And why? Because we're not infallible. We're not perfect. I'm not even saying that people are inherently bad or evil. I'm saying that sometimes they may not notice it. Or either the thing might be evil to the community and to everyone but that person, but they feel that they need that one specific action. They truly believe that it's okay. Why do marriages require you to hurt everybody around you? The people in my life who, they're in relationships and they're okay, they're fine and safe. Why does that require them to do something harmful to me? Why is that the option? Why is it that every time two people get together, there has to be somebody that's stepped on for it to exist? What do you guys think that creates in a person where your intention, but there's no way to prove it? And this is male and female. Because men go through this too. But they don't get to say anything about it because everyone tells them that it's wrong. Well, it's not wrong. And I think you guys need to say that more often, but you guys also deal with the groups of men who would be using it as a lie the same way we do. The groups of women who would be using that as an excuse. There are certain things that you can never get back. I felt that as an adult, I shouldn't concede. And I would love to be able to move forward with my life and never have to talk about it. But there are a lot of times where that is, in fact, the answer to the question. Something that as an adult I'm supposed to be responsible for, that I should know, that I should be able to do, but I can't. Because there's still somebody holding something over my head that's selfish. That now I can't ever be responsible in that manner. So when we tell people to get over things, if you're not telling them how and willing to invest in helping them to do so, you don't get the right to have an irritation. Now, that is an emotion that is wrong and invalid. And do people deserve forgiveness? Yes. But the thing that holds that up, since everybody acts like they don't get why people hold grudges, is because you're still living out the consequences. Things don't just go away. And anybody that helps you fix it, they now already come into your life and you're indebted. We see a lot of women and we blame them for their actions, like, the interviews where we're talking about, why women are unapologetic. Sometimes that's why. Because it doesn't mean anything and it actually does more damage. Sometimes the apology does more damage. A scenario where that might be the case. Well, I'm thinking about it like this. To apologize sometimes means that you're trying to erase what was done. And that it would be more admirable and easier to get over if the person wasn't sorry. Do we apologize for ourselves or for the other person? If you've done something so horrible and wrong, you shouldn't apologize, because that person needs to feel that you're not sorry so that they don't ever have to be with a person that could do something like that. When you apologize, you're saying, that's not who I am. I wish I hadn't done that. And so are we supposed to now say, okay, well, you've changed. You're a good person now. So now I'm mean if I hold a grudge and still hate you. We don't have to have the same interaction that we used to. But now my emotion now is overreacting. It's taking too long. Sometimes that's the problem in the breakup. And then everybody around you wants for you to move forward and live your life like that didn't happen, because it's an irritating conversation to have. It's an unpleasant mood to feel. An energy that we want to repel. People place these energies in the lives of other people. And I think that, yeah, sometimes mistakes happen, but that's why certain things should never be tolerated, should never be done. Some things should be unforgivable. And to everybody that follows the person that you hurt should know. It should be like a name tag. And I am holding that for things that can never be changed. If you do something permanent in someone's life, you should wear that permanent, branding as well. I think then maybe we would take into consideration people's feelings and what we're doing. We live in a culture right now that says, oh, be strong. Well, if the person is strong, you can do whatever you want to them and not feel sad. The word strong has this effect of being a magnet for problems. It should not be like that. That's how we create a culture of people who are quitters, who are weak, who are incapable. We're not, I can't pretend that we are born excited about problems. It's the very nature of the word. We created the word problem for a reason, to describe things that we don't like, things that we would prefer to choose the opposite of, things that need to be fixed. So I look at life like that. So if we want to fix all of these problems in black culture, we definitely need to allow people to talk about why it happened. They may not be reading the situation appropriately, but the way they read it is still important. We need to take it at face value. They have a reason why they're saying those words. I'm not saying that we have to believe that they're telling the complete truth, nothing but the truth, and the truth. But we do need to accept the fact that that's the sentence that they're choosing to say, and that that has a reason. The problem is we would get a lot more honest people if they didn't always feel attacked. Truth tellers have no friends, right? Do we think that's a good thing for society? Finding ourselves is a very important thing for each one of us to do. It should be guided and facilitated by your parents, and then you can be released to be an adult once you have found yourself. It's why I do not believe that parents should choose their children's life. It's sad that I should have to even say that to a culture of people that I would think that common sense would dictate that. But that's what I mean when I say that it's hard to trust that people wouldn't take an opportunity to do selfish things. And yes, we know that this is just part of life. It happens. But everybody is literally complaining about somebody having done that. So obviously no one likes that it's part of life. So why are we still doing it? I don't get it. What's keeping all of us as a community from just waking up tomorrow saying, okay, I won't take those kinds of opportunities. I won't do these things anymore.